Good evening, I'm Terry Moran, and we're going to begin tonight with startling new information about that failed Christmas terror attack, which we now know came disturbingly close to another mid-air disaster at the hands of a radical jihadist. Tonight, as the suspect, Umar Farouk Abdulmutallab, sits in a Michigan prison, federal authorities are trying to reassure the public that our airways are safe. But they're also trying to understand how the suspect and his plot made it this far, and how vulnerable the system really is. Our chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross, has the report. Brian?
Terry, Al-Qaeda today claimed responsibility for the attempt to bring down the plane over Detroit and promised new attacks like never before seen, as President Obama promised to disrupt, dismantle, and defeat those who would attack us. But can the might of the U.S. learn to deal with the twisted innovation of bomb makers who use everyday, mundane items to hide their weapons? This was the bomb smuggled onto the Northwest flight, sewn into the crotch of the suspect's underwear, his briefs, seen in government photos obtained by ABC News. In this photo, the packet of actual explosive powder was removed from the slightly charred and singed underwear and displayed separately. It is a 6-inch-long packet of the high-explosive chemical called PETN, less than a half a cup in volume, weighing about 80 grams. A government test shows what would happen to an airplane with only 50 grams of PETN. That's the amount in the bomb carried by the so-called shoe bomber Richard Reed over Christmas 2001. The underpants bomb would have been 1.5 times as powerful.
They want to put the aircraft all over an American city or all over an American target and have it explode as it comes into an American city to show the effect.
And tragedy was averted only because the detonator, the acid in this melted plastic syringe, caused a fire, but did not make enough contact to explode the PETN.
It's very clear. It came very, very close. The explosive device went off. It became an incendiary device instead of an explosive device, which is probably what saved that airplane.
In his first reaction to the attempted terror attack, President Obama Monday responded to growing criticism of his administration's handling of the incident and said he had ordered reviews of how the material was smuggled onto the airplane.
We need to determine just how the suspect was able to bring dangerous explosives aboard an aircraft and what additional steps we can take to thwart future attacks.
The president said he also wanted to know why the 23-year-old Nigerian suspect, Farouk Umar Abdulmutallab, was able to board a flight to the U.S., even though he was on a terror watch list.
I have ordered a thorough review, not only of how information related to the subject was handled, but of the overall watch list system and how it can be strengthened.
Abdulmutallab told FBI agents he received the bomb from and was trained by al-Qaeda in Yemen over the last few months. Officials in Yemen confirmed he had been in the country between August and early December of this year. In a web posting today, the al-Qaeda group displayed a picture of Abdulmutallab, calling him a hero who overcame legendary American intelligence, which showed its fragility, putting its nose in the ground, using all of what they spent in new security techniques against them. The al-Qaeda group in Yemen has been calling for attacks against the U.S. for more than a year. 2 of its 4 top leaders, this man and this man, were U.S. prisoners at Guantanamo until November 2007, when the U.S. released them to Saudi Arabia, and they were then set free after supposedly being rehabilitated. Now U.S. officials say the al-Qaeda leaders in Yemen have shown they pose a much greater operational threat than all of al-Qaeda in Pakistan or Afghanistan.
Yemen is in many ways the new Afghanistan. It is the new sanctuary, the new al-Qaeda base where people from around the world who want to be trained are sent, no longer to Afghanistan, but to Yemen.
In the last 10 days, U.S. airstrikes twice targeted suspected al-Qaeda locations in Yemen. And President Obama promised more of the same in his statement today.
We will continue to use every element of our national power to disrupt, to dismantle, and defeat the violent extremists who threaten us.
In the statement it posted online today, the al-Qaeda group said the attempt to bring down the Northwest jet was in retaliation for U.S. airstrikes in Yemen. But the first of those airstrikes took place on December 17th, and Abdulmutallab's mission was already underway then, as he bought his ticket to Detroit on December 16th, Terry.
Brian, the pictures of that explosive packed in his underwear are so striking there. Given the technology available at airports today and maybe in the near future, can we stop that kind of attack?
Well, U.S. officials say the body scan might have worked, but we're talking about, this is a cup of flour, but the same amount as the PETN. You can see how tiny it is. If that's hidden in a man's underpants, underneath his body, in his crotch area, frankly, can a body scan stop that? Not everyone is certain. There are sniffer machines that can smell out explosives like PETN, but they break down a lot, and they've been taken out of action because of maintenance problems.
And dogs? Are dogs capable of detecting PETN?
Dogs, if trained on it, could detect it, but there are many people who have an adverse reaction to having dogs come up and sniff their private parts, so it's questionable whether dogs would really work in a commercial airport.
A serious challenge going forward. Brian, thanks very much for that report.